Hey, my name is Kurt Aspland and this is my studio. You might be wondering why I'm talking to you from behind this little Lego city. Well, let me tell you. The 4th grade class of Mrs. Pulse reached out to me and asked me if I would show them how to draw Godzilla. And that's exactly what I did. But before we get to that drawing, check this out.
A drawing tip from
A Dad Who Draws.
Okay, for today's tip, we're going to move on from the cube and go into my second favorite 3D shape, and that's the circle. No, a circle isn't a 3D shape. A circle is the 2D shape. A circle is flat. But I bet you can guess what the 3D shape of a circle is. You got it. It's a sphere. And we have lots of spheres, so you have to get good at this one. Whoa! Hey, if you're liking this video, make sure you subscribe right now below so I can keep making more. You got this. Edge to edge. And just kind of immediately gives us a sense that this is a sphere versus a circle. I also sometimes like to put a little dot at the top, so I know where the top of the sphere. You could also think of like a globe. You know, a globe has an equator line that goes along the edge of it. In this next example, I'm showing how a circle, you can reverse it. So in this case, you're looking up at it from the bottom versus before we drew it looking from on top. And sometimes I will also add an axis. Really kind of show the sense of depth by creating that sphere. Just take your time with it, and you'll get the idea. But the one thing is you want to keep practicing these things over and over and over again. And they don't need to be perfectly round, but you definitely want to get that equator. The other thing you could do, and we want to cut these things in half. So here's an example of a sphere that I've sliced in half. I've kind of gotten a little darker pencil, darker application so you could see it. And this is how we draw a bowl. A bowl is nothing more than a sphere cut in half. And in this case, we are looking down on top of the bowl. And you can see that I'm adding surface lines here to indicate a flat surface. We use these all the time. We'll use these when we draw faces. You'll use them in your animal drawings, in everywhere. In wheels, anything that's round is going to always have a sphere somehow involved with it. So you just want to keep practicing these bowls and spheres. Yesterday we went over, in the last video we talked about a cube. Remember, when we draw our cube, we want to go with 4 dots, connect them, drop down 3 verticals that are equal, and then connect the bottom. So that right there is our cube. If you can't remember, check out the end of the video and I'll add a link to where you can see how to draw a cube. And then below that we've drawn our sphere. And now we're going to draw our bowl. So you want to make sure you keep practicing all of these things. The one shape on top of a bowl is called an oval. And a lot of times when people draw ovals, their ovals will look like hot dog shapes. And we want to stay away from that. You want to make sure your edges taper. And that means they get closer together like this. So when you draw your ovals, similar to the top of the cube, make sure that you bring in the edges closer together. You taper them. And that will give a sense that there's dimension.
Okay, now let's get on to drawing Godzilla.
Okay, so you want to start with your page up in the top left quadrant, and we're going to draw just a straight line, a couple inches, and then our next line we want to have a slight angle going to the left. Now we want to connect those so it has a nice triangle shape. This is going to be the top of the inside of Godzilla's mouth. Next, we're going to angle another bottom here. We're going to create another triangle at the bottom. And then we want to connect these, but this time, let's have a slight curve to it. Don't come in with a straight line, but go for a slight curve. Now we're going to put some lines down to try and figure out just how big Godzilla is. So now I'm coming in with his neck. Slightly curve. Almost snake-like. Now here's the top of his head going down to his back. And it has a nice gentle curve to it. I know you got this. Remember as you're drawing these lines to draw lightly. Draw lightly. Then I'm going to come down here and get a feel for his underside of his body. And you can see it's almost like a giant S. Come all the way down to his body, so it starts off with like a giant U shape and kind of ends with the top part of an S. That's going to be the back end of his tail. So as I'm drawing this, I'm thinking this is a tail, and I want to make sure it tapers toward the back. Now the back side of Godzilla, you want to make sure that you draw with a long straight line. That's something that's important when you draw, is to think of straight lines versus curved lines. And believe it or not, that makes it really interesting for the viewer to look at a drawing. So have a nice combination of straight lines and curved lines. All right, let's put his eye in. And you can see it's also like a triangle midway above the mouth. And you want to make sure that you leave the white area of the eye wide open. I'll show you why later on. Now we're going to add some more triangles to represent his teeth, and a big long one to represent his tongue. Yep. Tapering the end here, making sure it's pointed on one end. Once again, draw lightly because we're going to draw on top of these lines, darker lines as we get more confident. Now we're going to move on down to his mouth and start adding some more sharp teeth. And as I get to the closer to the edge of the corner of his mouth, I'm going to make my teeth just a little bit smaller. And then I added a straight line for his eyeball. And he's mad. And when you get mad, you make your eyebrows go down. So we want to make sure that is nice and slanted and heavy there. Okay, let's give him some feet. So when I draw feet, first thing I want to do is I kind of want to put where my feet are going to go. And I have an angle here. This is how I first put in my feet. I just roughly put in a couple lines to guide me of where to put things. So now this is going to be his second foot. There it is. It's on the ground now. And now let's put in some arms. Once again, we're just going to use straight lines, generally, to get an idea where the arms will go. Rough in. There's some hands. Yep, getting a feel for them. And make sure you draw lightly. Draw lightly. Because these are all just structural lines, we like to call them, to give us guidance of where to draw things. Alright, here's his second hand. And his second hand is on the other side of his body. Yep, just trying to get an idea of his palm of his hand there. So it's just making it a shape, almost like a square shape. And now we're going to put some guidelines in for his trying to think what these are called. I can't remember, but they go on the back, on his back. Somebody, Mrs. Pulse, you'll have to tell me what this is. I can't remember. I'm sure someone smart in your class can let me know. All right, let's drop his jaw in now, and you can see that I've curved the back end there. So now he has his jaw. And now let's kind of put some volume to his arm. And I start off with a nice round top part, straight. I'm doing a straight back end, and then a curvy front end. You see that? Now when drawing arms, you want to usually swap that. So you then switch. You go from a curve to a straight, from a straight to a curve. Then we're going to kind of follow our guidelines and just do some simple hands right now. All right. Let's kind of redefine our hands on the back side of them. Kind of see we're trying to put in about 3 fingers here. And yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine. It could be your own, so don't try and match exactly. If I sat down and tried to redraw this, it would look different. The drawings are always going to look a little different. So moving on to his leg, as you see, I started off with a curved line and a straight, and then I went to a curve, and the front of his leg there, the shin area, is almost like a straight. That's because our bone is toward the front of our leg, below our knee. Alright, so I'm drawing kind of a nice big old square here to give a sense of where his foot might go. Give him 3 giant lizard toes there, huh? And kind of giving it just a little bit on the back side. Alright, let's go ahead and get his other foot in here as well. Now this time I only put in 2. I put in two toes, and you can see I added the 3rd toe behind it. Behind the foot. Alright. Let's see what's next here. What should we do here? Let's design these I can't remember what they're called. Not horns, but these things on his back. They're almost like a Christmas tree. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's do another one here. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, 1, 2, and 3. 2, 3. And if you need to pause the video, by all means, put it on pause, get everybody caught up, and then start it up again. Sometimes I could draw a little too fast. Okay, we're going to add a couple little nostrils here for his nose. Now this markup here, I'm kind of taking a little license here and thinking these are eyebrows, or just to really emphasize the fact that he's mad. Yeah, that one in the back there kind of gives a sense that there's an eye on the other side of his head. All right, let's really emphasize the eye here. So the way that we could do this is by adding darker color or darker value. As we add darker value, the area that's white will stand out even more. So that white of the eye is going to really pop off there. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm being very careful to make sure that I don't get any color or any value into the eye. I'm putting that around. All right, moving on to the upper part of his mouth, you can see I'm just simply following my lines, making things much darker now. Yep, bringing in the tongue there. Working on the lower part. Yep, getting my teeth, just darkening in my lines. That will make them jump off the page. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's get the top of the head here now. Get it nice and dark. All right, his nose is set up. Here comes his jaw. A little bit of a curve, a straight line, and then back up the other side. That straight line's going to contrast with the bottom part of his mouth, so we like that. All right, this little dot here, this is in all of us. It's called the pit of the neck. There's a big tendon that goes from the pit of the neck to the side of your head. It's in all of us. And this tendon helps us to turn our head. So that's what we've put into Godzilla, the ability to turn his head from side to side. All right. Nice dark edge there. That's the front of his body. All right, let's kind of work on the back side here. We're going to get some more of these pointy things. I'm just going down one after another, trying to keep our eye not go too fast, but keep it look even. Let's work on his arm maybe here. Let's see what happens. Okay, here comes a straight line. Yep, right there. And make sure you follow where I'm putting it there, and we're going to add some fingers now. Here comes a curve. And then his elbow. Usually the elbows I'll put like just a little bump. Straight. And then curve this all the way around. There you go. Good job. Now we're going to add some surface lines, almost like our lesson in the sphere at the very beginning here. You want to make sure it stays curved. And this gives a sense that that arm is not flat, but it is has some dimension to it. All right, let's work on the other arm now. And the bottom one. Yep. Here we go. Great. Add some fingers, small triangles. Now let's get the back side of his leg here. Nice and round. Goes into a straight. Nice and round and into straight. Curve that. Give me a straight for his shin. Excellent. Heel. Comes across right into the toes. Now you can see why we drew so lightly to begin with. We're using those as guides. Alright, and here comes his back foot. Toe. Second toe. And we're going to pop the other one back there. Third toe. Wow, he's coming along quite nicely. Alright, here we go. Here we go with the tail now. I've adjusted the tail just ever so slightly. But it's still kind of following the guide. Those original lines, I like to think of them as they're just guidelines. Okay, let's get these iconic scales on the back of his back there coming down. Yep. Nice and dark, so they pop out. Yep, one more to go. Here we go. Last one. Excellent. And let's define that center line. Boom. We're going to add some of these interior, these type of lines I like to call texture lines, because we're just adding a sense of texture to the area. All right, he's coming together very nicely now. All right, now we're going to do the underside of his tail, and once again, we're going to add some surface lines. These are slightly curved, and they give a sense that there's depth, that this is the underside, the underbelly of Godzilla. Yep. Here we go. Perfect. Excellent. Keep practicing. It's the only way that you do get better. It's just drawing these pictures over and over again. In fact, what you could do is when you go home today, or if you are home, you could always come back to my YouTube channel and watch the video again. And I found sometimes when you draw a picture multiple times, each time you draw it again, you get better and better at it. All right, just redefining some things, adding surface lines. And the one thing you want to do is make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I try and upload new drawings every day, except Sunday. Plus, if there's a particular drawing you would like me to do, leave it in the comment section. And maybe I can, in the next couple weeks, give a drawing lesson on whatever object you would like me to do for you. So we all know that Godzilla loves to breathe fire. And along with fire comes smoke. Now when I'm drawing my smoke, I try and do I try and make them different. So like a small bump, a big bump, a big bump, a small bump. So there's some variety there. And then these lines just kind of add to the action. We like to call them as action lines. Of course, I'm going to add a little helicopter here to add some drama, but really more important, outside of adding drama, and I started with a circle with a very simple L shape, but adding a helicopter creates scale. It kind of shows the viewer, wow, that Godzilla creature is huge, because we kind of know how big a helicopter is. There it is. Nice propeller on top, and I'm drawing that by practicing an oval, exactly the lesson that we learned in our tip earlier. And we're going to have some make-believe bullets coming out of there, and we know that inside that helicopter is an army guy trying to save the city. And let's put another one up here in the top right corner. Oh, this time I'm going to start off with the oval. Yep, here he goes, the tail end. Yep. Okay. With the little bullets coming down. Yep. Zigzag for the tail section. And once again, if this is going too fast, hit pause, get caught up, and then you could start again. I'm adding more action lines. Now let's add some buildings. This will really give us a sense for the size and scale that he is. So these are city buildings that are in peril. All straight lines. Yep. Add a couple more over here. I remember as a kid I used to love watching the old Godzilla movies. We're talking the ones that were black and white. We would sit around on Saturday afternoons and really enjoy Godzilla and Mothra, King Kong. There were a couple others. I can't remember their monster names, but these were great. So now we're going to add some fire and some smoke. These are just little windows that we've indicated. Sometimes when you draw, you don't have to do a lot of detail. Just by indicating something, it kind of leaves it up for the viewer, your audience, to use their imagination and fill in the gaps. So are these trees or just little bombs blowing up? Smoke, maybe? Lots of smoke. And then I've added a bunch of little just texture on the bottom there to indicate the bottom of the ground. And finishing up with a few more details here. Adding fingernails. And I think that pretty much covers it. So there's a great picture of Godzilla. And a couple more little scales on his back.